Transcripts and recordings of the podcast may not be used for any purpose without the direct written permission of the podcast owner. Welcome to LITE It Up, a podcast about resilient women balancing motherhood, their careers, personal lives, and all of the challenges that come along with being a superwoman. Each week, you'll be motivated to take action to lead, inspire, transform, and empower. Now, here's your host, Dr. Regina Mashira. Hey, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of LITE It Up. I am your host, Dr. Regina Mashira. I am so excited about today's episode because I have my dear friend and sister, not biological sister, but my sister, Sister Echo Muhammad, who is just an all-around amazing person, who stresses the importance of empowering women and most importantly, self-love. She's been my guest before, and she's back again to tell us what she's been up to. Welcome back to Light It Up, Echo. How are you today?
Thank you, Gina. I'm great. Thank you for having me again.
Thank you so much for joining me. I guess we'll get right into it, but I also don't want to start the podcast with assuming that, everybody knows who you are, though they should. So, why don't we take a moment, I guess, just to pause and give the audience just a little bit of background of who you are. I guess I'll share you were on the podcast back in 2024 because you were curating your first wellness retreat for women. And we talked about that. And now you are curating a second event for women, which really excited to be able to talk to you about. You curated Empower Her Soul, Renew and Rise Retreat, a self-love Sunday experience. So why don't you tell folks who Echo is and why you've decided to curate these events for women?
Well, going back to my first appearance on your show, um, I have coined the phrase of a self-love advocate. And I started that because I have advocated that journey for my own personal self. And so I decided that I wanted to be an example for my daughters especially, but then other women in my circle, to embrace that self-love beyond beyond the self-care. We talked about that the last time I was on, because I'm like, okay, we talk about self-care, but self-love is really at the root of that. And the last time I was on your show was 2024.
Mhm.
And so a lot has happened in that year. I had the first event in October of 2024. And out of that event, it was more than what I expected. I had 30 women to show up, and I was trying to introduce them to different modalities that I participate in my everyday life, um, that help to honor myself and the love that I have for and cultivate the love that I have for myself. And the feedback that I got from the women attending was saying, Echo, this was something I didn't even know I needed. Like they didn't know what they didn't know. They didn't
Mhm.
know that they needed it. And I kept stressing when I was promoting the event, like, take the time for you. Take this moment, take this half a day, these few hours, and just pour into you. And because of the feedback that I had gotten from the attendees at that event, saying things like, I didn't even know I needed this, and, just how empowering it was. And, it had them look at things a little different, of things that they could take away to apply into their everyday life after the event. I was inspired to create something that they could take away from and use on a regular basis. And so I created a coloring book for Black women. And so it was inspired from the Empower Her Soul retreat. And I then created this coloring book, Empower Her Soul, a Black woman's guide to self-love and color. And the reason why it's a coloring book is because during the event, we did yoga, we did breath work, we did a sound bath meditation. We did those things, and some of the women really had a hard time being still. As
Mhm.
women, as Black women especially, we are everything to everybody
Mhm.
but ourselves. And
Mhm.
it was a struggle for them to sit still. And what I have learned because of my own personal experience, and I think we talked about it the last time I was on your show, I suffered from anxiety and I started meditating. Now I think maybe in a few days, in about 2 or 3 days, I will be 2,600 consecutive days that I have meditated every day.
Wow.
And this is coming from somebody that could not sit still for 5 minutes. So, what I was trying to do was to show the benefit of being still, right? And how that has helped me with my anxiety, it's helped me with my attitude, it's helped me with my mood. It's helped me on so many levels, right? So I wanted to kind of give the women something tangible that they could walk away with um, after that experience. And so it came to me during meditation to create this coloring book. If my mind was constantly, my wheels are constantly turning and spinning, there was no way that I would have been able to come up with this bright idea of doing this coloring book, right? But
Mhm.
because I was able to quiet my mind and listen, to my spirit, to the spirit, to the
Mhm.
ancestors, to whatever you want to say.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
I I opened the door and created that portal for that to come to me, right? And so I created this coloring book because it's a form of meditation. There are plenty of times, high achieving Black women, we're sitting in a meeting at work and you're sitting there doodling on your paper.
Mhm.
Ideally, that's a form of meditation because you are relaxing your mind. You're present, but you're not really paying attention to what's going on, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so it's relaxing. It's nourishment for your nervous system. To sit there, and allow that space, create that space for to allow things to come in. And so I created the coloring book.
Which I have
Um,
mine right here.
and you can find I published it. It's on Amazon. So if anybody's interested, they can order it directly from me or they can order it from Amazon. So it is full of images of women that look like us, from
Mhm.
the dress to the facial features to the
Mhm.
hair. And it has self love, well, it has affirmations, right?
Mhm. Yep.
And it has journal prompts to help you on your self love journey.
Well, what I love about it, like you said, it has the affirmations. It has women who look like us. which I love, from the hair, the lips, the facial, the cheekbones, and all of that. So I love it. One of the things that, well, when I opened it up, when I opened up the book, I don't know, I came to this one, but I like that you have the self-care tips on one
Hmm.
side of the page, and then you have the image to color. And so this one that I opened up to is I welcome growth, change, and transformation. And not to give too much away, but like you have like with the tips, at least three tips on here. So celebrate small wins, stand tall and speak up, challenge negative self-talk. But not only do you give those tips, but you give like a brief,
Right.
encouragement, explanation of what you mean by that. So yeah, this is really, really good.
Okay.
Um, So from that, so you were inspired from your first curated event to then publish this coloring book.
Right.
And now you're on to curating event number two
Yes.
in March.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to ask you why March? Why did you choose March?
Well, for me personally, spring is my new year. And I know that for a lot of us, traditionally, the way that we were raised and brought up, we celebrate the new year in January,
Mm,
right? But the way that my body is set up, I have to go with the lunar calendar,
right.
okay? And as women, that's our menstrual cycles and things that we do and you know childbirth and the 9 months that you are pregnant and you give birth, like all of that is based on the lunar calendar. And so that's how my spirit operates, okay? And so during the winter months, it's the dead of winter. So nothing is growing, nothing is alive, nothing, none of that stuff is going on. And so typically for me, that is a time for hibernation.
Mhm,
I'm typically a little more withdrawn,
mhm,
um and not so much in a negative way, but just it's more introspection, right? And just trying to see, okay, where am I, where do I want to be, where do I want to go, kind of thing, right?
mhm,
And then I take that time to kind of evaluate, people, places, and things, and what I'm consuming and what I'm doing and all of those things. But I don't make any uh, definite I don't want to say resolutions, but I just
mhm.
don't do that.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't make any resolutions during that time. I just
Mhm,
use the time to kind of evaluate. Here in Chicago, it's cold. I'm not, really outside like that. So it's time for me to pick up a book and take some time to write or do the things
mhm,
that are more geared towards my own self
mhm,
development.
mhm,
And then as the spring gets closer, then that's when I make a decision, not necessarily a resolution, but I decide this is what I'm going to do.
mhm,
And so I start planting those seeds in the spring. And that is why I decided to do it in March this
March.
year. And I did not do what another event in the next year in 2024, but a lot of things happen in
Mhm.
2024, not 2024, I'm sorry,
2025.
2025.
Mhm, mhm,
I traveled a lot. I just was working on me and, what I saw for myself as far as this part of my life and the impact that I wanted to have with, when I say I'm a self-love advocate, okay, what does that look like? I want to advocate not only for myself, but for women that look like me. And so I wanted to position myself, be more vocal, be more seen, whether it be in social
Mhm.
media or in certain spaces or whatever, to try to carry on what I had started in 2024 with that first event to say, hey, let's keep this going. Let's evolve and do more.
Mhm. Okay. So there was something that you said, like in reference to, spring being a time for renewal and things of that nature. Um, and it led me to think about how we as women, just even with you taking this time in the dead of winter, because I tell you, I'm exhausted just with the season. I mean, the
Right.
season kind of makes you feel a certain way, but and thinking about that, as women, we hold on to a lot of things, right? And oftentimes we'll hold on to the things that we've outgrown. And if you haven't
Mhm.
taken that time to reflect and kind of determine like what habits or roles or expectations are no longer serving
Right.
us. Um, so, how would you say that this retreat that you're curating, how will it help women to perhaps release some of the things that no longer serves them?
So that is how I came up with the theme.
Okay.
Renew and rise, right?
Hmm.
And what it does, so the to make the comparison, for the first retreat, it was just kind of like taking the time and kind of introducing the modalities, right? This retreat is building upon that. Even though I hope to have, new people to find me and to come, but tickets are already selling from people that were at the first retreat and they're like, oh yeah, I'm definitely coming back, for
Hmm.
this experience.
Hmm.
So what I want to do is kind of build from that first one. And I actually decided that I was going to do a um, I guess you could say it was more or less like an intention ritual with the ladies, right? A little journal exercise to have them reflect on just what you said. What is no longer serving me? What do I need to let go of? But part of that is trying to determine where it is that you want to be, right? Who do you want to be? Okay, so for me, over the last year, all of 2025, for those that follow me on social media, I have had this theme of becoming,
Hmm.
right? And most of us has have read, First Lady's book, Michelle
Yeah.
Obama's book, Becoming, but I have been on this personal journey of becoming. I will be 55 this year. So I'm thinking about, you know, the next 10 years of my life, like where do I want to be, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And when I think about where I want to be, I'm like, okay, now how do I get there? And what kind of life do I want to live? My children are grown and self-sufficient. I've gotten all the degrees that I'm going to get. You know what I'm saying? I have no desire to go back to school and do that. I'm not looking for another job. I'm trying to figure out what is my exit plan to get off the job that I'm currently on, right? And what kind
Hmm.
of life do I want to live and in my retirement? And what is
Hmm.
what is that date? What does that look like for me, right?
Hmm.
So when I think about that, so that's where I'm going. So then I have to kind of backtrack and say, okay, now how do I get there? And so, what I have been doing over the last year on this journey of becoming is doing that kind of evaluation to say, is this serving me? Is
Mhm.
this relationship, friendship, connection, habit that I have formed, is that going to aid me in getting where I want to be in the next 5, 10 years? And if it's not, then it has to go,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
But all of that stems from taking the time to think about those things. And what I found from the first event to now is that we as Black women just do not take the time. And so, what I want to do is curate experiences for us that gives us the space to think about the possibility of what could be. I want to create a space or curate a space for you and whoever to figure out what their purpose is. I feel
Mhm.
like my purpose is to curate spaces for you to figure out what your purpose is,
Got it.
to hold space
Mhm.
for you.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be at the event. I already have my ticket.
Yes, you
So,
did.
and actually, I got a text from a friend of mine whose birthday is today on the day that we're recording. She's like, I got it. I'm gonna be there. Like, okay.
Okay.
So yeah, excited about that. But I definitely now I know I need some space to sit down and reflect and figure out some things because I am one of those people, and I shouldn't joke and say this, but I have gone on record saying I think I have adult ADHD because my mind is just, it's always racing, like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
all of the time. I will even sometimes wake up 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and
Mm-hmm.
my mind is just going. And then I'm like, either working on whatever it is that has, awakened me out of
Right.
my sleep. And
Right.
that's not sustainable. Like I can't do that every single day. So
Right.
it's I don't know, it's hard for me to try to take the time and the space because I'm always doing something. And so I do recognize that that's something that I need to reevaluate um
Right. Because
quickly.
at the end of the right, at the end of the day, Agita, you have to realize that we don't always when you're rushed, you
Hmm.
always forget something, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Or accidents happen, but when you're not thinking clearly, stuff
Hmm.
happens. You get into
Yeah.
an accident, you forget something, you drop something, you're not taking your time, and so you just really aren't your best self.
Right. Yeah.
And just as Black people in general, we are always in flight or flight mode. And it's like, that is what is killing us. That is
Hmm.
what is literally killing us. We're in that fight or flight mode. Our cortisol levels are extremely high. We're stressed. You're not making good life choices, life decisions, just being like that. And then, the flip side of that is that, we don't, because we're not taking the time, we're not being intentional about how we take care of our bodies and how we eat and that, so then that's added
Hmm.
on top of there. And then you have some that are so stressed, then they just want to drink
Hmm.
alcohol or smoke a
Hmm.
cigar or whatever it is to kind of
Hmm.
calm them down, you know,
Right.
or whatever. So it's like, you know, it's every. it's like it's one thing stacked onto another,
Yeah.
you know? And so for me, I am just very intentional about how I live my life and what I do. Like I said before, I suffered from anxiety really bad to the point where, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it was physically taking a hold of me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I want to be here.
Yeah.
I I want to be here and I want to be of sound mind and
Yeah.
I have to do something, you know. And so that's how I got started into the meditation and then that led to the breath work and then that led into, practicing yoga, and so, do things bother me? Of course they do.
Mm-hmm.
But I am the most self-aware that I have ever been in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that being so self-aware, that is really what led me on this self-love journey that I'm trying to get other people and other women on. Because when
Mm-hmm.
I tell you I am so obsessed with myself, it, I and I mean that in the most humble way possible,
Yeah.
right? Not that I'm better than anybody else, but I am so self-obsessed with me. And I see how that has made a difference in my life from things like, I've been posting a lot about setting clear boundaries,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
saying no, and different things like that. And then, just being intentional about my habits, what's taking a hold of me, you know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
getting up in the morning to do my meditation, to work out, to meal prepping or preparing my meals or juicing or doing whatever it is that I need to do. It's a whole lot being me,
Yeah.
and I'm so focused on me. I don't have time to be worried about other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I just let them do whatever it is they want to do. Cause
I'm trying to
I
get Well, I'll say this. The only people that I worry about, and you know this, are my children. That's it.
hmm
I ain't
hmm
worried about nobody else.
right. And I mean, you can
Yeah.
be worried about them, but you have to understand you at some point you just
Right.
you just got to let go,
Right.
and
Yeah.
that's what really got me here. We talked about the last time I was on here. My youngest daughter went away to school.
Mm-hmm.
That empty nester kicked my behind. Now
It
her
hadn't
sister
kicked mine.
had well, it kicked my behind after she left. Her older sister had gone away. Fine. I still was focused on her. And when
Mm-hmm.
she went away, I had that wake up call. Like I'm like, oh, this is different. And we
Mm-hmm.
don't really, talk about that. But it was an adjustment because we're so busy doing everything for everybody and our
Right.
children and the whole thing. It forced me to focus on me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I had to be real with myself, at 40, almost 50 years old to say, okay, Echo, what do you like? What don't you like? What would you like to do? You know what I'm saying? Like all these
Mm-hmm.
things, it's like I had to learn myself all over again, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's what prompted this thing. And then I was like, oh, I kind of like this,
Mm-hmm.
and the things
Mm-hmm.
about me that I didn't like, I changed.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to be honest with myself about that. You know what I'm saying? If,
Yeah.
I didn't like how my body looked. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
girl, so what you gonna do about it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I'm going to watch what I eat. I'm going to, get up and exercise. It's like I had
Mm-hmm.
to make those decisions to do the things, not resolutions. Oh, I'm going to lose 10 pounds. No, I'm going to eat right. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Mhm,
going to
mhm.
make decisions to do certain things so that I can become the woman I
Yeah,
that I admire, that I
yeah,
want to be. Because at the end of the day, that's only you are going to take care of you. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? We
yeah,
running around taking care of everybody else, and it's like
yeah.
just
So on when women come to Renew and Rise on March 15th, because we didn't even tell folks the date on March 15th,
yeah. Sunday, March 15th.
Sunday, March 15th. What do you want women to feel like almost immediately when they walk into the door?
Um, a sense of calm, a sense of peace. I want them to know that there's nothing they need to do, but just show up. There's nothing you need to do. We're always doing,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and we're so as we're so performative, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, we need to just stop performing and just be.
Yeah.
And we need, and I want to give women permission to just be,
Mm-hmm.
and so much comes out of um doing that, which is, I keep going back to the meditation, but that's what happens when you just sit and you just be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You'd be surprised. You start having certain feelings or certain thoughts, and what makes people uncomfortable is when those things start to arise. When they have to sit there to kind of meditate, and they're like, their body just doesn't know how to just be, just
Yeah.
just relax. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever gone and gotten a massage?
Mm-hmm.
60-minute massage or a 90-minute massage. And the
Mm-hmm.
massage is almost over and you just decide that you're going to relax, and or is it immediate? You know what I'm saying? Because I know that
Mm-hmm.
that has happened to me where, I may have just the next, 30 minutes or 15 minutes in a massage, and I finally exhale. We're holding on to too
Mm-hmm.
much.
So, full transparency, that is not an issue for me.
Okay,
When
okay.
I get a massage, first of all, if I can't get a 90-minute massage, then I wait until I can
Hmm.
because I used to say, oh, well, 60 will do. Mm-mm. But from the moment I even tell the massage therapist, I'm sorry if I snore. It is what it is. I am out. I am because unfortunately, that seems to be the only time that I'm going to be still.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm almost ashamed to say this, but I realized just actually 2 weeks ago that I had not stopped to take the time for even a massage. I hadn't had a massage since September.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, this is just insane. Because I just constantly going, going, going. And it's not that I do have, get massages regularly or anything like that, but not the way I should. At least that's the way I feel. But that is the only time because I guess I feel like I can't go anywhere. I'm laying here on this table. That's it.
Okay.
So that, you know, um, yeah, that's not an issue for me.
Okay.
Issue that I have is like when every time I try to just kind of like at home, and I don't know, maybe because I feel like there's so much stuff for me to do, like I find things to do. All of
Mm-hmm.
the things that I've put off, then I find things to do. So like when people talk about taking staycations or just being at home relaxing. Now, there have been some times, and I've gotten much better at this, where I don't place anything on my calendar. And
Mm-hmm.
I've been able to just sit still and do nothing. But that sitting still and doing nothing is probably because I'm just so exhausted. Like then I realize just how
Right.
tired I am that I can't do anything. I'm not thinking about like all of the things because I've
Right.
run myself so ragged that I'm too
Yeah.
tired to think, move, do anything.
And I think part of that is women taking the time and feeling guilty about it.
Yeah.
That's really, at the end of the day, that's what it is. We feel guilty
Hmm.
about not doing the thing, whatever the thing is. And most of the time, the thing is for somebody else, not for you,
Right.
right?
Right.
So we want to get to a place where we no longer carry that guilt.
Hmm.
Because who are we answering to? And it's like we are falling under so much societal pressure of always having to have it all together,
Hmm.
always having to be on point and, and available and, just no. And
Yeah.
I'll have to explain to you why.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just no,
Yeah.
period. It just is what it is. I have gotten into the habit of, I don't have the capacity for that.
Oh, yes, that's my terminology.
I don't have whether it's physical, financial,
Hmm.
mental, whatever it is,
Hmm.
I don't have the capacity for that. And I don't have to explain to you in which capacity is lacking.
Right.
I just do not have the capacity for that.
Yeah.
Right. And so it just is what it is. And you will find that people move right along
Hmm.
just fine without you burning yourself, at both ends and walking
Hmm.
around crazy. So it's like,
Yeah.
I don't have the capacity for that. And they will be okay.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. When I think about some of the things that I find myself involved in, and when I care too much and I'm
Hmm.
caring more than the next person,
Hmm.
I've had to do a lot of self-talk lately.
Right.
Like, girl, what are you doing?
Right.
These folks are
Right.
living their lives, not stressing over the things that you are stressing about. You're more concerned than they are, and it's
Right.
their thing. So,
Right. And
yeah.
that's what I was saying. Like I'm so obsessed with me, you know,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
looking, somebody invites me somewhere and I'm thinking, oh, I'm not worried about who's gonna be there, what I'm gonna wear to impress whoever's gonna be there, or the things that,
Yeah.
some people probably think about. I'm okay, how does this serve me? How do I
Hmm.
benefit by being in this space?
Hmm.
How does it make me feel being around whoever the person is that invited me? So
Hmm.
I think
Hmm.
because I'm so self-aware and self-obsessed, I
Hmm.
think about all of those things and then I take inventory of how my spirit feels before I make a decision. But what I see with my peers is that a lot of us have a fear of missing out. What, you're not missing anything. I don't have to be on the scene. I don't have to be in certain rooms, or whatever.
Hmm.
And then you walk away and it's like you done spend all this money. You know what I'm saying? You're around.
Hmm.
None of those people are really your friends. They don't,
Hmm.
you know,
Hmm.
they're adding no benefit to your life, and I'm
Yeah.
a very social person, you know, but it has to make sense for me. You
Yeah.
know, I don't need to go to certain events just to say that I was there or,
Right.
whatever,
Right.
I go because maybe somebody who I'm fond of the person who asked me to go, or whatever the event is something that I enjoy, or it has to make right now it has to make sense for
Thanks.
me because my time and my energy are the two most, and my health. My time, my energy, and my health are just the most important things to me.
Okay. Well, with this retreat then, you mentioned that when we walk into the space, like you want us to feel at peace and that we're going to be um, doing some, I guess, reflection. Um, when we come, how should we be prepared? I don't know. Like, and how do we get tickets? How-
So, the tickets are available on Ticket Falcon.
Mhm.
And you can, my social media pages are public. So the links are available there, and they are available on Ticket Falcon. It's Empower Her Soul Retreat. So if you type that in, it'll come up.
Mhm.
And just being prepared, just, we're gonna do some grounding. So we're gonna do some movement, some yoga, and I don't want people to be afraid of that.
Mhm.
um, it's just more about just trying to relax the body and be more grounded. And so, workout clothes,
Mhm.
yoga pants, just something real comfortable, lounge wear, something that you can easily um
Move
move
around.
in. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So very laid back, very, very comfortable.
And it's women only.
It is. It is women only. It's
So
just
those
for
of you
us.
who are booed up, don't try and bring that man with you, okay? It's
And
not
you know what? I thought about having something um
for couples.
co-ed. I
Oh,
thought of, not for this time, but I had thought about that
mhm.
before. And I'm like, maybe, I mean,
Mhm.
there
Mhm.
might be some men that, are interested, but I'm like, let me stick with what I know.
Yeah.
Try it some other time. I did put it out there and I did kind of do a poll on Facebook to say, I'm thinking about this, whatever. And there
Mhm.
were a couple of guys that said, oh yeah, I would be interested or whatever. But then majority of the women was like, no, maybe next time. So I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, we'll see.
Mhm.
We'll get there.
Well, I'm just excited that there's going to be an opportunity for yoga because that is one thing that helped me, and I have not been able to get back to yoga
Hmm.
um, in a manner in which that I'm consistent. But I could tell the difference, like when I was doing yoga and Pilates,
Hmm.
and that
Yeah.
was my time. But then life
Yeah. And so
started
I've
life.
been, yeah, no, and so I've been more consistent over the years with yoga. It's a workout,
Hmm.
you
Yeah,
know. It,
yeah.
it it really is a workout, but it's like you get so familiar with your body when you do it because it's like the slightest pose or move, you're like, oh, that's
Hmm.
that's something that I didn't realize. That's a
Hmm.
muscle I didn't know I had that obviously needs some attention. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like, stuff starts coming up. And ironically enough, February 1st, I start my yoga teacher training certification.
What?
Yeah, so
Oh,
I
hallelujah.
I am adding, that 200-hour coursework to my life. And
Mhm.
so I just been trying to wrap my head around my schedule and, how I'm going to commit to doing it because it's not just 200 hours of yoga. I mean, there, books I have to read, there's an
Mm-hmm.
exam that I have to take, there are assignments I have to, you know, not only participate in yoga class, I have to teach, practice
Right, right.
teaching the yoga and it's one thing when you're doing the movements and somebody else is calling it out, but then when you have
Mm-hmm.
to do it and call it out for somebody else, that's a whole
Right.
that's a whole other thing.
You just made me think about it, and I think this had to be in 2023. You did something in Homewood. I can't think of the place because
Hmm.
Aaliyah and I came, and it was a yoga curated
Yep.
retreat type of experience.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Come on now, Echo. Get
I
some
know
validation.
everything is kind of it's kind of coming around full circle,
Yeah.
and I'm allowing things to happen the way they are supposed to happen
Yeah.
because people have said, when are you gonna get certified? And I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, I'm not interested. But then when I started thinking about um what is it, who is it that I want to be, and what
Hmm.
is it that I want to have happen, you
Hmm.
know, just a little personal information. So my objective, my goal is to retire out of this country.
Okay.
Okay. And so when I think about the life that I want to live somewhere else, and what does that day to day look like? I mean, I have it all mapped out
Mm-hmm.
from I call it my next level self, right? My future version of me, right? And I have it all mapped out, the location and what it looks like. And when I get up in the morning, this is what I see, what I feel, what I smell, the whole thing. And I want to be able to live a certain kind of life. And one of the
Yeah.
things that kept coming up was I want to get up, I need to have a beachside villa, right? I want to
Hmm.
be able to wake up and, smell the ocean and see the ocean and then go outside and do yoga on the beach. That is the reoccurring theme that kept coming up for me. And so when I think about, okay, well, how do I get there? And not only that, I want to be, of course, I have to be able to financially, take care of myself, but I want to work when I want to work,
Right. Yeah.
and
Hmm.
still, and I won't have the same, expenses and,
Hmm.
requirements
Right.
and things that I have here, so I can get away with, you know, little to nothing, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then I started thinking about, and I said, well, what if I'm teaching yoga on the beach?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, so those types of things were coming up for me. And I just felt like this was the natural progression of things. And as far as the retreat itself, my desire is to host international retreats. I love to travel. Um, I've been to 18 countries, I think, so far.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Last year I did a girls' trip to Belize.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also did an international trip to Thailand for a week.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually did that on a wellness retreat.
Mm-hmm.
And I was part of a mentorship program to learn how to curate my own international retreat. So I actually went in, earlier than the other women who were attending to help the host of that retreat behind the scenes, meet with the staff and all of that to kind of learn the behind the scenes of what it takes to host an international retreat. So
Mm-hmm.
that is my goal because I want to be able to travel and I want to be able to do the things that I enjoy doing. So infusing those things together through international retreats is how I do that. Bringing health and wellness, you know,
Mm-hmm.
in another country. And not just because it's in another country, but what I'm finding is through my travels, that gives you the opportunity where you have nothing else to do but to
Mm-hmm.
immerse yourself in whatever is going on, right?
Right,
And
right.
so traveling opens up your eyes and it opens up the possibilities of what could be. And so you take the time, you've already invested in yourself by paying the money to go. You're
Mm-hmm.
on this long plane ride to whatever destination you're going to, right? And it gives you time to reflect. And what I learned from not just my travels, but even this last retreat that I went on in Thailand, it was 30 women. Most of
Mm-hmm.
them, just about all of them were solo travelers.
Okay.
We were all about the same age range, you know, um, and it was so inspiring that everybody, walked away with these light bulb ideas of, you know what, this is what I want to do. And you start, having community with other like-minded women, and then you
Mm-hmm.
get inspired and you get, motivated, and encouraged to do things that you hadn't even thought about doing.
Right.
Um, so what I do here locally is just a stepping stone for me because the ultimate goal is for me to host an international retreat and have women travel with me, something that I enjoy,
Mm-hmm.
and also curate the space for them to think about what's possible. You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
where do they see themselves in the next 5, 10 years, and then holding space and helping them figure out, okay, how do we get there? How do we do that? I think my background professionally in project management just lends to what my soul desires, to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like, it's part of my personality on top of being a Virgo.
Yes.
How we be trying to fix
Yes.
everybody.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But, I think that on top of my uh nurturing spirit and my empathetic,
Mm-hmm.
nature,
Mm-hmm.
all of that together, you know, puts me in a position to do what it is that I'm doing.
Okay. Well, I am looking forward to March 15th, but I'm also looking forward to when you have this international curated retreat.
Yeah, it's definitely it's in the
Mhm.
works.
Yeah.
So I am shooting for November of 2027
Okay. I can't think of anything of any significance that's going to be going on for me during that
in
time.
November.
That's right. In 2027, I'll be 50. So that would fall in line with, I mean, I love to travel too. So, and I'm a planner. So, me, I'm going to hold a date
Right.
just like I did when we talked about.
Right.
So,
Well, that it's definitely in the works. I've already, I have gathered a team already together. I've picked my location.
okay.
So all of that is in the works, and soon I'll be launching a wait list for those that are interested in wanting to know more about the international retreat. It'll be 7 days, and not just health and wellness, but whenever I travel, I immerse myself in the culture
Culture.
of
Hmm.
wherever it is that I go. And you
Okay.
just have such, more of an admiration for humanity when
Yeah.
you travel like that and
Yeah.
you immerse yourself in the culture and not just, going to Tulum to turn up or the Dominican, and you know what I'm saying, just
Hmm.
to lay on the beach or, whatever.
Hmm.
It's like, no, when I go, I immerse myself in the culture of wherever it is that I am. And
Hmm.
ironically enough, whenever I go, I always say, I can see myself here.
Hmm. Okay.
I can see myself here. So
Well, I can't wait to find out. Hopefully, I'm one of your favorite people, so I'll be on this list. So tell the folks again, March 15th. So March 15th, which is a Sunday,
Yes,
it is Empower Her Soul, Renew and Rise Retreat, right?
yes. A self-love
Um,
Sunday experience.
that's right. And people can get tickets from Ticket
Ticket
Falcon.
Falcon. Yes.
And what's the time? That's
So
a really
the time is from 1:30 to 5:30.
okay.
So still have time to make it to church and worship if that's what you do in the morning,
Mm.
and still be home in time for a Sunday dinner if that's your jam. So
That someone else should be cooking because you would have just spent 4 hours focusing on you. So you better not
right.
come home and cook dinner for anybody. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Okay. All right. And tickets are on sale now, so people
Yes.
can
So
go
early bird
ahead.
tickets are on sale now until February 15th. Um, or unless, I decide to extend it. But right now, February 15th, the
Mm,
tickets are early bird and it's $60 for early bird. So I would say take advantage of that because
mhm.
ticket sales will go up the closer um, time for, towards the event.
Okay. Now, though I could not imagine anyone who has listened to you during this time, I can't imagine them saying, "Oh, I don't have time." But there may be somebody out there who may be saying, "I don't have 4 hours to block off for myself
On a
to
Sunday,
on a Sunday."
on a Sunday afternoon.
Right. But if there is someone who is out there who may think that they don't have time to dedicate to themselves, what can you say to that person?
You know what? I would challenge them to evaluate what they are spending their time on.
Okay, so then we expect to see you all on Sunday, March 15th.
Mhm.
Make sure you're there. Tell the people again how can they go about getting their tickets? Early bird ends on February 15th, so you definitely
Yeah.
want to get
Early
your
bird
ticket.
ends the end of the day, February 15th. Tickets right now are on sale at Ticket Falcon. It's Empower Her Soul Retreat, Renew and Rise. You can find that on Ticket Falcon, and tickets are $60. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Miss Echo Chantel, and the links are available in my bio.
All righty. Well, I want to thank you, Miss Echo Chantel, for being such a wonderful guest. Um, for just thinking about other women, because we certainly need somebody to think about us and, you know, help us take the time that we need and deserve to take care of ourselves. So I thank you for having the desire, um, to curate these type of spaces for us because we do need to do a much better job of taking care of ourselves the way we take care of everybody else.
Right, right.
So, yeah. Oh, and then also, too, don't forget,
Yeah, get your coloring book.
yeah, get your coloring book. So, actually, you just gave me a thought about what I am going to do this evening because I don't have anything on my calendar. So, I'm going to color.
Okay.
So there you go. Because I haven't colored in a while. I colored a few of the pages.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, that's something that I can do. So maybe I can like settle my mind and not be all over the place.
Yeah, it will definitely help.
Yeah. So thank you so much for that. Now, so you got to promise me now you did give folks a little bit of insight about what you have planned for next year. So when you are ready to announce and give all of the details, you got to promise that you'll come back and be my guest.
Okay.
I'll light it up.
Yep, will do.
Okay. All right. So you all go out, get your tickets. March 15th, 2026, 1:30 to 5:30. It is Empower Her Soul, Renew and Rise Retreat, a self-love Sunday experience. And you know who I thought about when I said a Sunday experience?
Raheem Devon.
Yep, sure did. I know
No,
that's
you
your
did.
boo.
I know you did.
Anywho, thank you so very much for being my guest today on Light It Up. And thank you all for tuning in to this week's episode of Light It Up. Please make sure you like, share, subscribe to the podcast and check out Echo. And hopefully, I will see you on Sunday, March 15th. So until next time, remember to continue to light it up and shine bright like a diamond. Thanks for joining me this week on Light It Up. Make sure you visit my website at www.lightituppodcast.com or www.ajinamuhammad.com. You can also find me on social media using the handle at Light It Up Podcast. If you like what you've heard, please be sure to hit the subscribe button so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, I'd appreciate a rating on iTunes, or you can simply tell a friend about the show. Be sure to tune in every Tuesday for a new episode. Until next time, light it up and shine bright like a diamond.